What's going on, everyone? Listen, how are y'all doing tonight? So it is cold here in North Carolina, and this is Know Your Sound, the host Stephen Powell. I'm just doing a live right quick while I'm waiting for my daughter to finish her Christmas work party. Right. So I had an incident that happened today where my battery went dead today on my MTD, and I had to go to passive. So when I had to go to passive. Thank God I had a passive um, option on my base because uh, two of my bases, oh no, two of my bases don't have passive options for going passive, right, on the preamp, and so which is the MTD and the Bacchus, right? Y'all haven't seen that bass yet, but anyway, what happened was um, the battery went dead, and I had to go to passive. So all I had was my volume and my blend knob, and I thought about it and I was like, how many times do we as bass players, or has this happened to you where your battery has gone dead and you had to go to passive? The question is, will you still have the consistent tone that you have in active? Right. So that's something that I'm thinking about, right? So if your battery is going dead, right, and all you have is a passive tone, the question is again, will your tone change? Will it be still be consistent on how it sounds when you're playing active? And I think this is a great opportunity for me to really see how close I can get to my active tone with a passive tone. And it came out well. I got great compliments from the drummer saying, "Hey man, that bass sounded amazing." I got other compliments from other people. But the reason why it sounded so good was, guess what? It's because I know how to EQ my bass with the amp. If I have a passive bass, right, I can always go to my amp and create the tone that I need in order for me to still sound consistent. So I think, so for me, this was a great lesson, and maybe this will help you all when you if you ever have the situation where your battery is going dead and now you have to go to passive. And so I my suggestion to you all is that this is what you do. You practice um, creating a tone with a passive sound so that if this happens to you, you will be consistent about your tone, right? You'll be consistent about your sound, and you will not lose out on your tone because you know how to EQ your bass. EQing your bass is so essential to you knowing your sound and knowing for you to be consistent in what you want to um present to an audience or what you want them to hear, right? So I think this was very essential and a great lesson and a great moment for me to really see if I am knowledgeable enough to have a consistent sound even when I don't have an active preamp. um, Most of your tone comes from your fingers, but also it comes from how you EQ your bass, right? Let me put it in numbers, right? So number one, I would say there's at least seven things that help create your tone or that can affect your tone. All right. Number one is your EQ. All right. Number two would be your strings. What kind of strings are you using? And then I would say number three, right? If you have a good battery. Number four, I would say, if guess what, y'all? If if you have a good setup on your bass. If you do not have a good setup on your bass, this could really affect your tone. Let me say that again. I believe the number one reason why some people don't get the sound that they don't have is because they never got a great setup on your bass to where you could really hear the potential of your bass. And so for me, I think, these are essential things that you have to have. when it comes to having a clean tone. Making sure that you maintain your instrument, right? Um, Making sure that you clean it, you wipe it down, and you get some, you make sure you take care of the fretboard by putting oil on the fretboard or whatever you want to put on there to make sure it stays moist, right? A moisture, it has moisture in it so that it won't go dry. All these things are a combination of how your tone is going to sound or how your sound is going to come out of that bass. All right. And so, again, y'all, I just wanted to go live right quick to say this: practice learning how to EQ your bass with a passive sound. If you can get the same consistent sound without being active, then you have mastered your EQ. And this is really why I love this channel, is because knowing your sound is knowing how to EQ your bass, right? When you know your sound, you know how to consistently create a tone to where it is always the same tone that people are hearing when they hear you play. Why? Because you know your sound, you know how to EQ your bass. So I just wanted to go live right quick to really do this quick live to really, I thought it was a great lesson and opportunity to to share with you all, anytime that you have a situation like I had where your battery goes dead and you have to play passive. I think the question is, will your tone change because you are playing a passive bass? And here's another thing you could do. You can go to Guitar Center, right? Go to Guitar Center, get a passive bass, and see if you can create the same tone that you have on an active bass. If you're used to playing passive bass, here's another thing. Go to get an active bass and see if you can create the same tone or the same sound that you have on your passive bass. So I recommend, as bass players, that we learn how to do this. And listen, y'all, also, I know we have all this, you know, technology that we can have AI and we have all these plugins. But another thing I want to ask you all, and this is something that I always recommend. If you're playing through an amp, will you have the same tone that you would have if you was playing it on plugins on Logic or Ableton, right? Would it sound the same? Would it be you? So again, y'all, listen, I'm going to challenge you all to really understand, your tone, to really get to know your instrument. And again, listen, but while I'm on here, there's going to be a video dropping this week on a bass that I have. It's a bass mods that I have. And it's going to be dropping this week, and nobody has did a video on this bass. So look forward to seeing that video. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you turn your notifications on so that when it